The Gible to Garchomp evolution line is the undisputed best pseudo-legend for a playthrough. We're rating them all, and what sets Gible especially apart from the other pseudos is not only how early you can get it, but how good it actually is that early on. Most pseudos are either just unattainable early on, or actually kind of bad even if they are. But Gible's stats are really solid, 70 attack and okay enough HP, defenses, and speed for it to not be an issue at all. Dragon Ground is also just an incredible typing. Sure, it has a 4 times weakness, but you're not battling many ice types if any at all early on anyway, and in Gen 4, Dragon Rage in the early game is just broken, and honestly all you really need to get Gible through to the insanely early evolution level 24. And sure, it does lose that in Gen 8, but it gains Dragon Breath and Bulldoze, which may not be as powerful, but it is much more flexible. It may not be quite dominant in the early game, but it is very good. 4 stars. As for availability, I already hinted at that being a strong suit for this line, so I want to correct some mistakes first. You guys pointed out that I missed something on both Mime Jr. and Happini's availability. Mime Jr.'s was a huge miss that now fixed actually boosts its score up a whole star, and Happini's didn't end up changing the average anyway, but I appreciate it nonetheless, and it's fixed. And okay, yeah, so Gible is famously available super early in Platinum, but the same can't be said for Diamond and Pearl, where it's actually locked behind Strength. Then you can get it before the 5th gym in Kalos and on Ula Ula in Alola, so that will average out its score to 3.5 stars, which is still pretty good for a pseudo. But this whole line's concept is great. Garchomp, of course, is eventually a jet plane land shark dragon, which is incredibly cool on its own. But even little baby Gible, it of course has some of those same traits, but I do like how it arguably has more of a piranha in it than shark at this point. Either way, it's pretty hard to make a not cool dragon, and this line is even cooler than most. 5 stars. And design-wise, Gible is easily one of, if not the best looking first stage pseudo legends. It's somehow super adorable with the stumpy little arms on what's essentially just a chunky mouth for a body, while also managing to be the perfect little baby miniature Garchomp. Honestly, this is peak first stage dragon design, managing to both be really cool and really cute. 5 stars. So that actually gives Gible 4.375 stars overall, which wait, is that the first pseudo legend to make it into a region's top 5 and actually the highest pseudo score yet? And like most middle stage evolutions, Gabite is a bit unremarkable, so can it follow up Gible's awesome scores? While rating them all, and at least in battle, it should. Its main selling point is the fact that it evolves from Gible at level 24, and at that point in the game, its 90 attack and 82 speed is going to be quite a bit better than most of the Pokemon you're facing, and its HP and defenses are plenty good enough. Dragon Ground is also an amazing typing, with its main weakness being super rare in the mid-game and Fairy not even existing until Gen 6. Sandveil is also kind of broken paired with Sandstorm that I learned by level up, and in Gen 4 I run it with just Dragon Claw, Dig, Aerial Ace, and Shadow Claw, and it is an absolute monster for a while before starting to fall off a little bit before it evolves, but not by too much. It's still amazing, which even that is less of an issue in Gen 8 with Bulldoze and Dual Chop to keep it relevant. 4.5 stars in battle prowess. And its availability I think actually deserves a bit of a boost from Gible's already respectable 3.5 stars considering how early its evolution is. 24 is ridiculously early for a pseudo legend of this strength. 4 stars. And Gabite of course follows the same concept path as the rest of its line, being a kaiju dragon land shark jet plane monster, which is amazing in and of itself, but I do really like the additional little tidbit of it hoarding treasure like so many dragons in folklore. 5 stars. But its design, sadly, I do think is a bit of a downgrade. Not nearly as cute as Gible, and not nearly as menacing as Garchomp. And sure, that's kind of the point of middle stage evolutions, but it just kind of seems like a smaller Garchomp. I feel like it's lacking any of its own personality or unique characteristics, a problem that a lot of middle stages have, but made worse by the fact that some of them very clearly rise above. But with that aside, it's still a really good design, and still a really cool hammerhead dragon that looks powerful and a bit menacing in its own right. 4 stars. Which funnily enough gives it the same 4.375 star rating as Gible, even if they got there in a different way. And holy cow, I can't believe we're already here. Garchomp is clearly and easily the best pseudo-legendary Pokemon for a playthrough, but can it be our first perfect 5-star Pokemon in Sinnoh?
We're rating them all, and with the 600 base stat total, Sinnoh's pseudo-legendary is an absolute beast of a fighter. 130 attack means he can rip powerful earthquakes, dragon claws, scale shots, and he gets access to a ton of coverage moves, like Rock Slide, Thunder Fang, Fire Fang, and even Iron Head to deal with those pesky fairy types. Garchomp also has an incredible 102 speed stat to outspeed all the 100 base speed Pokemon, and those defenses are nothing to sneeze at either. 108 HP, 95 defense, even 85 5 special defense are all really solid, meaning that he can tank an attack or two if needed. Sandveil and Rough Skin are both great utility abilities, and a Dragon Ground typing means that he's able to easily come in on a range of resistances, and even an electric type immunity. Only thing that can make him a bit better is a ground immunity, but even with that slight imperfection, we're giving BP an obvious 5 stars.
But availability has been the biggest weakness of these pseudo-legends by a long shot. And while Gible and Garchomp are available much earlier than the other pseudos, this isn't just based on Sinnoh, and it isn't compared to other pseudos. So it started at Gible's 3.5 stars, and then got a slight boost up to 4 stars due to Gabite's early evolution level. And yes, Garchomp evolves earlier than most other pseudos, but it's still level 48, and that's pretty late game pushing E4 most of the time. So I think it has to stay the still respectable 4 stars.
But Garchomp's concept is undeniably cool. A shark that swims through the sand, a dragon shark that lives on land, a land shark, and specifically one of the cooler sharks, I might add, a hammerhead land shark.
And even past that, it famously and kind of confusingly flies around like a jet plane, which may seem random, but has been a central part of the concept for this whole line. Coming to its fruition with Garchomp being inspired by P40 Warhawks, otherwise known as desert sharks. So I mean, come on, the dragon kaiju land shark jet plane, 5 stars. And Garchomp is easily one of the most popular Pokemon of all time, and I think that that's totally valid. Its design has so much going on, yet it somehow seamlessly and cohesively flows together into this terrifying land shark dragon.
Garchomp's design is incredible. He's a perfect ace for Cynthia. Fearsome, powerful, and I love the sleek blue, red, and yellow color scheme. The only thing that would be better is a combination of green and red, but design is still 5 stars,
which soars Garchomp up to the final score of 4.75 stars overall, which not only gives it a spot on the Sinnoh top 5, but also the best pseudo score by a long shot.
Not too bad for the second best Dragon Ground type Pokemon.
Mega Garchomp is an example of a Mega Evolution that wasn't really necessary. We're running them all, and in battle, this thing is obviously just insanely broken, and I know the competitive crowd will probably say that regular Garchomp is actually better because it's a bit faster. But in a playthrough, that really doesn't make that much of a difference, but its 170 attack and buffed up defense is absolutely due. Its ability also changes to Sand Force instead of Sand Veil, which once again, they'll probably say is worse, but once again, for a playthrough, I disagree. Garchomp probably isn't taking many hits anyway, so I'd rather have the much bigger bonus damage than a bonus evasion. But otherwise, it's obviously going to keep the great move pool and great typing, so once again, obviously keeping the 5 stars. And as for availability, remember to take these Mega rankings with a grain of salt since it's super convoluted and compared to each other anyway. Garchomp's Mega Stone is locked behind the postgame, which is of course late for a Mega, so it will knock its availability score down to 3 stars. And as per most Megas, its Dex entries are pretty insane. Its excess energy melted its arms and wings, transforming them into giant scythes, which it carves up its opponents with. This of course Bulbapedia links to the Grim Reaper, but I really don't see it at all other than the scythe. I see more of like a horror movie vertical mouth monster inspirations, but either way, it's still the land shark kaiju jet plane monster that is Garchomp, so it stays 5 stars. And its design is definitely interesting. It still has the main drawing points of Garchomp, once again, cool, menacing land shark dragon, but I don't think that it's a hot take to say that it's a bit much now. As is the case with a lot of Megas, it looks a bit ridiculous and overdone. You know, I am a fan of his new red beard though.
The Crimson Chin!
And the protruding teeth or spikes in its torso I do think are cool, along with the new shoulder pad looking shoulders. It almost looks like a suit or like a pirate or something now instead, which is cool. But the scythes really throw off the entire vibe and purpose of this Pokemon for me, and that seems to be a popular opinion. Still, it's really cool, but definitely worse. 4 stars, which funnily enough actually gives it 4.25 stars overall, the lowest score in its line, and missing out on the Mega's top 5.